Okay, this section is about multiplying and dividing radical expressions. Okay, radical expressions. If we multiply or divide radical expressions and check whether they are same like radicals. If they are like radicals, then we can put the radicands together. So this is square root of 6, square root of 3. The same square root. So we can put 6 and 3 together. So multiply these two numbers, 6 and 3. Then we can simplify inside. Okay. Try to make the radicand a square of some factors. So 6 is 2 times 3, and 3 stays there. So this is equal to 2 times 3 squared. So from this 3 squared, we can take this 3 out. And 2 stays inside the square root. Okay, and the next one is a cube root. Both radicals are cube root, so we can put 5 and 16 together. 5 and 16 within the cube root. And let's try to make this one a square and a cube. So 16 is, okay, 5 stays 5. 5 is a prime number. 16 is 8 times 2. 2 times 8. 2 times 8, and 8 is 2 cubed. Okay, 2 times 8, and 8 is 2 cubed. So we can write it as 5 times 2 times 2 cubed. And this 2 cubed, from this 2 cubed, 2 can get out from the cube root. So 2 times square root, cube root of, okay, 5 and 2 stays inside. So 5 times 2 is 10. Okay, next one is a distribution property. Use a distributive property to clear the parentheses. So first multiply 2 and square root of 3. So 2 times square root of 3 plus multiply these two. So square root of 3 times square root of 5. And these two are the like radicals, square root, square root. So we can multiply, we can make a product of two radicands, 3 and 5. Square root of 3 times 5 is 15. And 3 times 5 is 15, and then that one cannot, 15 cannot be a square, so just leave it. 3 times 15, 5 is 15. Okay, next one is the same. We use distribution property. So 4 times square root of 2 times 4, we can write number first. Minus square root of 2 times square root of 8. And these two are like radicals. Since this is a product, we can put 2 and 8 together. 2 times 8. And then 4 square root of 2 minus, okay, 8 is 2 cubed. 2 times 8 is 16, and 16 is 4 squared. Okay, 16, this is 16, so we have to make square of some number. So 16 is 4 squared. So that we can, so that this 4 gets out of the square root. So that is 4. Okay, next one. Clear the parentheses by using this distributive property. So square root of 6 times square root of 12 minus square root of 6 times square root of 3. And then we can put radicands together, square root. So 6 times 12 minus square root of 6 times square root of 3. Okay, the first one is 12 is 6 times 2. So we can write it as 6 times 2. So 6 squared times 2. We will try to make square of some factors. And 6 is 3 times 2. Okay, so this gotta be, we will put 6 and 3 together. 6 and 3 together. And 6 is 3 times 2. So we can write it as 3 squared times 2. So this is equal to 6 square root of 2 minus this 3 gets out, 3. Okay, let's move this one. 3 square root of 2. Okay, 3 square root of 2, 3 square root of 2. Square root of 2, square root of 2. These are like radicals, so why don't we add these two? So 6 minus 3 is 3. Okay, 6 minus 3 square root of 2. Oh, wait a minute. This is square root of 2. Is that correct? Yes. So that is equal to 3 times square root of 2. Okay, let's do some exercise. Okay, this is pretty much similar to the examples. Okay, multiply square root, both square roots. You know, these two radicals are square roots, so multiply these two radicands, and then try to make a perfect square. So 18 is 6 times 3. So we can write it as 18 is 6 times 3. So this is equal to 6 squared times 3. Then take the 6 out. 6 square root of 3. Okay, next one is a cube root. So put 6 and 3 under the cube root. Then, since the index is 3, try to make cube. So 6 is 2 times 3. 2 times 3 times 3. And unfortunately, we cannot make a cube of some factor, so that's it. Okay, that's it. So that is cube root of 18. Okay, next one. Okay, use the distribution property. So 4 times square root of 3 plus square root of 3 times square root of 3. So that is squared. So 4 square root of 3 plus, now this is square root of 3 is multiplied twice, then that is 3. Do you remember the formula? Nth root of x raised to the nth root. Then the power and the index is same, then this is equal to x. If this power goes inside, then depending on even or odds of this index n, if n is even, then you can make it like this. If n is even, or if n is odd, you can just take x out. Okay. Alright, so this is just take 3 out. Okay, and the next one, multiply square root of 10 by square root of 5 plus square root of 10 by square root of 6. Okay, then multiply these two. 10 and 5 is 10 is, okay, 10 and 5, let me write both, plus square root of 10 and 6. And this is equal to square root of, okay, let's try to make a square. So 10 is 2 times 5. Square root of 10, also 10 is 2 times 5. And 6 is 2 times 3. So from here, 2 times 5 squared, and the second radical, 2 squared times 5 and 3 stays there, so 15. So finally, this is equal to 5 square root of 2 plus this 2 gets out, so 2 square root of 15. Okay. Then let's do the next one. Okay, distribute. So 5 times square root of x minus square root of x multiply twice. So this is equal to 5 square root of x minus, we can take this x out. But make sure this x, the index is 2. Index is 2, so we have to put absolute value. Okay, in this example, okay, let's use the FOIL method to multiply these two binomials. So FOIL method, multiply the first terms then 2 times square root of 7 times square root of 7. Next, the outer terms. So 2 square root of 7 times 1. And the inner terms, minus 4 times square root of 7. Multiply these two, so minus 4 times 1. So that is equal to, okay, square root of 7 is multiplied twice, so 2 times 7 plus 2 square root of 7 minus 4 square root of 7 minus 4. So this is equal to 2 times 7 is 14. Okay, this is 14. And these two are the like terms, so minus 4, 2 minus 4 is negative 2. So minus 2 square root of 7 minus 4. And then combine the constants, so 14 minus 4 is 10 minus 2 square root of 7. Okay, the next one, use the FOIL method, so 3 times 1 is 3. Multiply the next one. So when we use the FOIL method, make sure to multiply each term in one parenthesis by each term in the other side, the other parenthesis. Okay, so plus 3 times square root of x, and these two minus square root of x. Multiply these two, then minus square root of x is multiplied twice, so I can make it a square. Then this is equal to 3. And then combine the like radicals, then that is 3 minus 1 is 2. So plus 2 square root of x and the minus. Okay, this is squared, index is squared, so take x out. It's got to be a positive x. I'm sorry, this is just an x, not absolute value of x, because the power is outside. The power is outside, so just x. Right, even the previous exercise, number 18, this should be just an x, right? Not absolute value of x. Sorry about this one. Just x, because the power is outside the parenthesis. Here are some exercise related to the previous example. Okay, this is binomial squared. We can multiply this binomial twice using FOIL, or we can use a formula. Do you remember the formula a minus b squared? Then this is equal to the first term squared minus 2ab, and then plus b squared. So first term will be squared, the last term b will be squared, and the second term is the product of ab times 2. So we can multiply 4 twice. So 4 squared minus 2 times ab, the first term and the second term, square root of 20, plus b squared. So that is equal to 16 minus 8 square root of 20 plus 20. Okay, so that is equal to, okay, 20 plus 16 is 36. And how about square root of 20? 20, can we simplify square root of 20? Yes, because 20 is 4 times 5. 4 times 5 is 20. And then this 4, square root of 4 becomes 2. So 36 minus 8 times 2 square root of 5. Then finally, this is equal to 36. Let me write it over there. 36 minus 2 times 8, 16 square root of 5. Okay. Let's try the next one. Okay, this one is, okay, the binomial are the same. Square root of 2 plus square root of 7. This is multiplied twice. So this time let's use FOIL method. We can use this squaring binomial method, but let's use FOIL only. So square root of 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 2 squared plus multiply these two, then square root of 2 times square root of 7, and this one 2 square root of 2 times square root of 7, the last one square root of 7 squared. So when we multiply these two, square root of 7 times square root of 2, we can switch these two factors. Do you remember the commutative property? Then this is equal to 2 plus, okay, square root of 2 times square root of 7 is 14. And this is square root of 14 plus 7. So finally, this is equal to 2 plus 7 is 9 plus these two are the like radicals. There are two of them, so 2 times square root of 14. Okay, let's do the next one. Okay, this one is actually, this is similar to the number 24. So why don't we just use the formula? 5 squared, a squared minus 2ab, 2 times 5 times b. Okay, this is square root of 3y. Okay, 3y is inside the square root. So square root of 3y plus b squared. b is this guy, so b squared. And this is equal to 25 minus 10 square root of 3y plus 3y. And that's it. So there's no common radicals or common factors, nothing. Okay? Or there's no like radicals, so done. Okay, this example is about the conjugate and the multiplying conjugate. Okay, conjugate is this. Okay, here's an expression. Okay, this is binomial. The conjugate of this binomial is just change the sign. This is subtraction, then make it addition. So the conjugate will be 1 plus square root of 3. Okay, how about the next one? This is plus, this binomial is addition, then make it subtraction. So square root of 5 minus square root of 2. The next one is minus, so make it plus, square root of 10 plus 3. The last one, this is plus, change the sign. So square root of x minus 2. Okay, so once we multiply these two expressions, one is the original expression, and the other one is the conjugate of this expression, 1 plus square root of 3. Then what will be the result? Okay, for this one, okay, we gotta use, this is the difference of squares. Do you remember the difference of squares? A plus b times a minus b. Then this is equal to a squared minus b squared. Right? Or if you have a squared minus b squared, then the product is a plus b, a minus b. So this is the difference of squares. Two binomials are same, except one is plus and one is minus. Then the result is what? A squared minus b squared. The first term squared minus the second term squared. So that will be 1 minus 3, so negative 2. Okay. So multiplying conjugate, okay, look at this. The original expression is radical. This is a radical expression. So once we multiply this binomial radical expression by its conjugate, there is no radical. Okay. So we use conjugate, multiply the conjugate, then the result will be just, there is no radical. Okay, let's try next one. So multiply binomial by its conjugate. Its conjugate. Then the result will be a squared minus b squared. So square root of 5 squared minus square root of 2 squared. And that is equal to 5 minus 2. 5 minus 2. So that is 3. The result has no radicals at all. Okay, so let's try another one. Square root of 10 minus 3 times its conjugate. Conjugate is square root of 10 plus 3. Then a squared minus b squared. Square root of 10 squared minus 3 squared. So that is 10 minus 9 equals 1. One more. Square root of 10 plus 2. This is x. Square root of x. Square root of x times. The conjugate is square root of x minus 2 equals a squared. So square root of x squared minus 2 squared. So that is x minus 4. Done. Very simple. And then multiplying the conjugate is really important concept. Okay, so let's check. Let's do a little bit more exercise. Okay, let's multiply this binomial by its conjugate. So I will multiply 2 minus square root of 5 by its conjugate. Then what is the conjugate? 2 plus. Because this is minus, we make it plus. So that is equal to a squared minus b squared. A squared minus square root of 5 squared. So 4 minus 5, which is negative 1. Okay, let's do the next one. Square root of 3 plus square root of x multiplied by the conjugate. The conjugate is what? This is plus, so change it to minus. Square root of 3 minus square root of x. Then this is equal to, this is difference of squares. So a squared minus b squared. The first one squared minus the second term squared. Then 3 minus x. Okay, that's it. Okay, example 6. We will simplify a rational expression. The rational expression is a fraction. And if the fraction contains a radical expression in the denominator, then that is not simplified. We have to remove the radicals from the denominator so that we can simplify the fractions. So how do you simplify, how do you get rid of this 1 minus square root of 5? So we have square root of 5 in the denominator. Do you remember the multiplying the conjugate? If we multiply the conjugate of the denominator, then there will be no radicals. So why don't we multiply both? Since we are multiplying the conjugate, the denominator by its conjugate, we got to also multiply the same thing, the numerator by the same thing. Right, like this. So the conjugate of denominator is 1 plus square root of 5. So multiply the denominator by this number, and then also multiply the numerator by the same expression. Then the numerator is square root of 3. Okay, the numerator, you just multiply the numerator, use the distribution property. So square root of 3 plus square root of 3 times square root of 5. Now multiply these two. And then the bottom is what? A squared minus b squared. Square root of 5 squared. So that is equal to square root of 3 plus square root of 3 times 5 is 15, and 15 cannot be a perfect square. So leave it over. The bottom is 1 minus square root of 5 squared is 5. So square root of 3 plus square root of 15 over negative, 1 minus 4 is negative 4. Since the denominator is negative 4, you can put the negative sign outside the fraction. So negative, here's a fraction bar, square root of 3, square root of 15 over 4. So make sure the negative sign went out. Okay, let's keep doing our examples. Okay, in this case, we're gonna multiply. Okay, the denominator contains square root of 3. So we have to multiply both top and bottom by the conjugate of the denominator. The conjugate of the denominator is what? 2 plus square root of 3. Change the sign, minus into plus. So the numerator is still the same. And this is equal to, okay, distribute the numerator. Then 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 2 is 8 plus 4 times square root of 3. The bottom is a squared minus b squared. A squared minus b squared. So 8 plus 4 square root of 3, the numerator, and the denominator is 4 minus 3. So denominator 4 minus 3 is 1. So since the denominator is 1, we have only the numerator. Okay, let me write 1. Denominator is 1. So same as the numerator. 8 plus 4 square root of 3. Okay, this exercise number 52 and 60 is very similar. Use the same method. Multiply both numerator and the denominator by the conjugate of the denominator, because the denominator contains radical. So multiply 3 minus square root of 10. Also the numerator is multiplied by 3 minus square root of 10. Okay, then the numerator is just 1 times binomial, just binomial. So remove the parentheses from the numerator. And the bottom is what? A squared minus b squared. 3 squared minus square root of 10 squared. So 3 minus square root of 10 over 9 minus 10. And then the denominator is negative 1. So since the denominator is negative 1, we can put the denominator negative to the front. If you move it to the front, what happens? Move it to the front, then we gotta put the parentheses, which is the whole numerator. All right, to make sure you have to put parentheses. This is important. So once negative sign goes outside, this sign goes outside, we have the whole numerator. So protect the numerator within the parentheses. Then this will be negative 3 plus square root of 10. Or you can move this negative sign to the numerator. Then move negative sign to the numerator means multiply the whole numerator by negative. So multiply the whole numerator by negative. Okay, next one. It's the same. So 9 over square root of 7 minus 4. So we have to multiply both top and bottom by the denominator's conjugate. So minus, so make it plus. Square root of 7 plus 4. Then distribute. So 9 times square root of 7 plus 9 times 4 over a squared minus b squared. So 9 square root of 7 plus 36, and then 7 minus 16. Okay, 16 minus 7 is negative 9. Okay, for this, why don't we, for the numerator, why don't we switch these two? Because we usually write number first. So 36 plus 9 square root of 7. And the denominator is negative 9, right? Negative 9. So we can move the negative sign outside. So move the negative sign outside. By the way, okay, let me write this one. And 9 and 36. 9 and 36, is there any common factor? Common factor is 4, right? I'm sorry, 9. 9. So you can factor out 9 from the numerator. Right? This negative sign is outside. Square root of 7. The denominator is 9. Then we can cancel out this 9. So negative, the numerator, 4 plus square root of 7. Then finally, multiply negative, so negative 4 minus square root of 7. This looks more complicated because there was, when we simplify this, okay, from here, we can separate, we can separate the numerator, okay, from this, we can separate the numerator. Separate the numerator, it will be 36 over 9 plus 9 square root of 7 over 9. Then this is equal to 4 plus square root of 7. Then finally this one. Okay, so when we simplify a fraction, make sure the denominator should not contain radical. And then also when we get from this state, make sure if there's a common factor in the numerator and the denominator, we have to reduce as well. Okay, we will do the rational, multiply the conjugate of the denominator. So we will use the same method to simplify this quotient. So what we have to do is multiply, okay, write the original expression. Then multiply the numerator and the denominator by the conjugate of the denominator. Square root of 7 minus square root of 2 minus, because this is plus, square root of 7 minus square root of 2. And then distribute for the numerator, distribute these 2. So there will be 5 square root of 2 times square root of 7 minus 5 square root of 2 times square root of 2. Okay, the bottom is what? A squared minus b squared. Square root of 7 squared times square root of 2 squared. So the numerator is 5 times square root of, okay, 2 times 7 is 14, and 14 cannot be a perfect square. And minus 5 times 2. 5 times 2, which will be 10. Okay, the bottom is 14, because 7, square root of 7 squared is 7, minus 2. So that is equal to, okay, 5 square root of 14 minus 10 over 5. Okay, so this is equal to, we can reduce, right? Reduce. So we can factor the numerator. Factor out 5, then square root of 14 minus 2. Denominator is 5. Then we can cancel out these two 5s. So we have square root of 14 minus 2. Or you can write negative 2 first. It's okay. All right. And how about the example 8? Okay, this is 1 divided by a binomial, so we can rewrite the expression as 1 over square root of x minus square root of x plus 1. Since the denominator contains radicals, we gotta multiply the numerator and denominator by the conjugate of the denominator. So square root of x plus square root of x plus 1. Square root of x plus square root of x plus 1. So this is equal to, the numerator is square root of x, square root of x plus 1. The denominator is a squared minus b squared. So square root of x squared minus square root of x plus 1 squared. And that is equal to square root of x. Okay, this is the numerator, and the denominator is x minus, okay, put parentheses. Make sure you put parentheses because we gotta protect this x plus 1. Then this is equal to, numerator is unchanged. The denominator is x minus 1. Then from the denominator, x minus x is 0 and negative 1. So we can multiply negative 1 Move this negative 1 to the numerator. Move this negative 1, negative sign to the numerator. So we gotta multiply the numerator, whole numerator by negative. So that is equal to negative square root of x minus square root of x plus 1. Okay, this is a division, so we gotta make it a fraction first. So 6 divided by square root of x minus 2. And then denominator contains radical, so we gotta multiply the conjugate of the denominator. You know, multiplying the fraction by the conjugate of the denominator is called rationalizing the denominator. Rationalizing the denominator. Okay, rationalize the denominator. This means multiply both top and bottom by the conjugate of the denominator. So we call it rationalizing the denominator. So that is equal to 6 times square root of x plus 6 times 2 divided by a squared minus b squared. Square root of x squared minus 2 squared. So 6 square root of x plus 12 divided by x minus 4. That's it. Okay, let's try the next one. Okay, 2 minus square root of 3 over denominator is square root of 6 plus square root of 2. So let's do the rationalize the denominator. Okay, rationalize the denominator. So the bottom is square root of 6 plus, so we gotta multiply, we gotta use minus. So even the numerator is square root of minus square root of 2. So multiply the numerator by the conjugate. So in this case, the numerator is a binomial times binomial. So we gotta use FOIL method. So 2 times square root of 6 is 2 square root of 6. And the next one is minus 2 times square root of 2. And then the next one is negative square root of 3 times square root of 6. And then finally, negative negative is positive, so plus square root of 3 times square root of 2. Okay, over a squared minus b squared. Square root of 6 squared minus square root of 2 squared. So that is equal to. Alright, so let's simplify the numerator. Okay, here is 2 square root of 6. And then minus 2 square root of 2. How about these two? They are 16. 3 times 6 is 3 times 6 is 18. 18 is 9 times 2. Okay, okay, let me write it here. So minus square root of, okay, square root of, okay, 6 is 3 times 2. So this will be 3 square root of 2 and plus square root of 6 over. Okay, 6 is 3 times 2. Okay, let me write 3 times 2 instead. 3 times 2. And the denominator is 6 minus 4. So this is equal to, the numerator is 2 square root of 6 minus 2 square root of 2 minus 3 square root of 2. Because 3 times 3 is, 3 times 3, so 3 squared. So we can take 3 out. Plus square root of 6. 3 times 2 is 6. And the bottom is 2. So combine the numerator. Okay, the numerator is what? What are the like radicals? Square root of 6, right? Square root of 6, square root of 6. So this one and this one. So 2 plus 1 is 3 square root of 6. And then here is square root of 2, square root of 2. So that is negative 2 minus 3 is negative 5 square root of 2 over 2. Okay. Wait a second. Okay, look at the denominator. Square root of 2 squared is 2, right? Not, this is not right, not 4. It's gotta be 2. Sorry about this. So this is 2. So 6 minus 2 is 4. So this denominator is 4. Okay, let's do a couple of exercise. Okay, the first one is the division. So 5 square root of 3 divided by 3 plus square root of 3. And then we gotta multiply the conjugate. So, rationalize the denominator. So multiply both top and bottom by the conjugate of the denominator, which is 3 minus square root of 3. Then the numerator, use the FOIL method. 5 times 3. 5 times 3 is 15 minus 5 times square root of 3. And multiply these two. That is minus 3 square root of 3. And this one is minus times minus is plus. So plus square root of 3 squared. Over. The denominator is a squared minus b squared. So 3 squared minus square root of 3 squared. Then this is equal to 15. Combine this like radicals. So negative 8 square root of 3 plus 3. And then 9 minus 3. So that is equal to 15 plus 3. 15 plus 3 in the numerator is 18 minus 8 square root of 3. The denominator is 9 minus 3 is 6. And as you can see here, there is a common factor 2. So if you factor out the numerator, 9 minus 4 square root of 3, then the denominator is 6. 6 is 2 times 3. So we can cancel out 2. So the numerator is 9 minus 4 square root of 3 divided by 3. So there's no common factors in the numerator and the denominator. Okay, let's do the next one. Same thing. So we will write in a fraction. Denominator is 2 square root of t minus 1. So multiply both top and bottom by the conjugate of the denominator, which is 2 square root of t plus 1. Multiply the numerator by 2 square root of t plus 1. Okay, then using the FOIL method, the numerator is 2 times, multiply these 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. Square root of t times square root of t is what? T. So why don't we write 4t? Okay, 2 times 2 is 4. Square root of t is multiplied twice, so that is t. And multiply these two, then plus 2 square root of t, and these two plus 2 square root of t, and the last one, 1 times 1 is 1. Okay. Plus 1. And the bottom is 2 square root of t squared minus 1 squared. And this is, okay, let me write this. 40 comes from what? 2 square root of t squared. Alright, so that is equal to 4t plus, like radicals, 2 plus 2 is 4, square root of t plus 1 over. The bottom is, 2 squared is 4, t, and then square root of t squared is what? T minus 1. And is there any common factor? No, that's it, right? That's it. So we are done.